with us. And so we're going to, there she is. Our guest speaker today then is Navia Imanisetti, and she grew up in a Sai family, and she's been involved in Sai spiritual education or SSE since childhood. She is passionate about understanding and living Swami's teachings through inquiry and personal experience and service, which is exactly how you want to do it when you're young. These are all the right ingredients. Professionally, she works as a project manager in the renewable energy industry. Today, she's going to share with us how one of life's most difficult experiences transformed her understanding of surrender and of faith and of the Guru's grace. The title of her talk is How the Guru Leads a Soul Home. Let us please welcome Navia Imanisetti.
My humble pronouns at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. Sai Ram, everyone. Just wanted to take a quick note and thank Greg and team for able to give me this opportunity today. I know I just joined the Sai Center a couple of months ago, so it feels like I'm already part of the family. I appreciate the welcome, the warm welcome here. Just like many of you here, I've been born in the Sai family. I've been in SSC since I was a child. So very, very routine story here. But as a child, I've always been the type to doubt, question, inquire, have my parents do the research and then tell me what it is. But then now I'm doing my own research as I grow older. But experiencing it and then believing it is usually how I roll through life, and especially with my belief in Swami. My dad used to live by Sanatana Dharma, the way of life. He used to preach the way of scriptures in a way that a kid can understand, or also like an 85-year-old can understand it. So the way he can transform the scripture into legible understanding, it was beyond his generation. So one of the many teachings that he has taught me that clicked with me as I grew older, I want to share with you today. But before that, last year was the first time I actually had fallen out of Swami's fold and then completely found my way back to him through the foundation I was given by my dad, through the SSC, of course. But it honestly felt like Swami picked me up and brought me back to him very safely, and just in time for this experience I'm about to share. Many of us have heard Swami's analogy of, the baby monkey and the kitten. The baby monkey is the one that clings on to its mother, that's our effort, and whereas the kitten is when the kitten is being carried by its mother, which is his grace. At the beginning of this year, my father had a heart attack, completely out of nowhere. On the outside, he was the epitome of health, right? He did yoga, exercise, worked out every single day, like you called it. And this was him a couple of weeks before he had his attack, right? My mom would kill me if I showed this picture of her. But then going back to, a couple of weeks after that, just out of nowhere, completely out of the blue, he had his heart attack. And when he was admitted to the hospital, we found out that he had 90% blockages in his heart, which led to a quintuple 5 bypass surgery. Anyone who in the medical field knows how rare it is to even be caught at the right time to be brought to the hospital with that many blockages. So one of the many, many miracles that happened throughout this experience was that when he was brought into the ambulance, my mom had a vision of Swami placing his hand on my dad's chest. And as soon as she got that vision and he got the electric shock, he revived, which is insane after just one shock treatment with that many blockages, right? So a couple days later, he's still in the hospital. We're figuring out what the next course of action is for him. And then we all became the monkey in this picture. We all clung on to Swami. We all did all the forms of devotion you could think about. We did the satsang, seva, meditations, everything you think about. We did all of it. And through many other miracles, many other visions through this process, my dad survives. He not just survives, he thrives, right? His post-op numbers are like through the roof, and all the doctors are like, this is a miracle that we're witnessing, so on and so forth. So as the prayers continue for him, 6 weeks later after his surgery, he gets another attack. We thought we learned our lesson for the first time, so we clung on to Swami again. We did all the prayers, everything all over again, but this time we did not hear Swami at all. We didn't see him, we didn't feel him, we didn't get any visions. It was like our minds were just chaos. And hours later, I don't know what to do. So I just went to the mandir in my room, in my apartment, and I just prostrated in front of Swami, and I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. Please, please do what's best for him. I'm surrendering him to you. Then came the vision after I surrendered. Swami was standing right next to my dad's bedside, and my dad's soul was right next to him. In this vision, Swami asks my dad, do you want to go back in? And my dad, being dad, he said, can I continue doing your seva like I did before? And Swami had replied, I cannot promise you that. And then I was trying to manipulate the vision for my dad to say yes anyways, and it just felt like it was like a movie playing. I was just an observer of my own vision. So then, hours later, my mom had also surrendered to Swami at that time, and then moments after that, he passed knowing that that was his decision, and Swami gave us all the strength to surrender in that moment. A few days later, while we were clearing up his belongings, I found a letter my dad wrote to Swami. It was a letter that was written hours before his first attack, back in January 22nd, 2026. I crossed out the part that was a little bit too personal, and I wanted to share something that's highlighted at the bottom that said, I am not this body, you and I are one. That was the last thing he wrote to Swami before his first attack happened. And then I realized why Swami made a surrender in that moment. Although my dad probably was subconsciously detached, only when we finally placed him completely at Swami's feet could Swami lovingly carry his soul home. Then I realized what the kitten analogy actually meant. Swami literally is carrying my dad's soul onto his next journey, and didn't stop there. He's still carrying all mine, my sisters, and my soul onto other path of truth as well. I'll explain why. 2 hours before my dad passed away, he was supposed to have a bunch of phone calls with his friends, with his family, about random, non-productive stuff, and people that were supposed to come over to our house for dinner. For whatever reason, nobody picked up their calls, no one came over, and that never usually happens. So what he ended up doing was sitting on the couch and just opening up a Swami devotee's experience and completely being immersed in that devotee's experience, to the point where when my mom came upstairs to check up on him, she was like, are you okay? Like, what happened? And he was like, no, I'm just entranced in this devotee's experience. And he was just in another world. My mom was like, can we talk about it? So they sit together, they're talking about it, reading and listening to other scriptures while having dinner. And so he gets up to wash his hands and starts walking to digest his food. And as he's walking, that was his last moment. He fell to the ground straight with his eyes open, never returned after that. My mom was a literal witness to his last thoughts, which was nothing but Swami. No matter what he had planned, Swami knew his destination that night. Because of how much sadhana my dad had done, his whole purpose of life was to think about Swami on his last breath. Swami created a whole scenario where he just had nothing but time to think about that. No phone calls, no guests, just him and Swami until the end. That's when I knew he absolutely surrendered to Swami in that moment. At the cremation ceremony, when my mom was wailing uncontrollably, she just did not know where to stop. she got a vision of my dad hugging Swami so tightly, and she was like, afraid of Swami, he's gonna break his bones or something. It's something crazy. But and my dad ended up saying to my mom, "This is just my body, Anu." Anu's my mom's name. He was saying, "This is just my body, Anu. Do not worry, I am with Swami." The whole thing has shown me that when a guru chooses you, he literally carries your soul home, which is becoming one with him in the end of the day. Again, he did not stop there. He's still carrying the rest of us home too. Through the grieving process, one day I was in deep meditation, and I got my dad and Swami both in my vision, and I was crying nonstop, and I couldn't stop grieving. And Swami looks over to me and asks very lovingly, he's like, "When can I become your divine father?" Which is interesting, because I've never thought of Swami as my parent. I've had two beautiful parents my whole life. He's been my bro, like I take him snowboarding. So, like it's just something that I have a relationship with him in a different way. And when he asked me, I was like, oh my God, I can think of Swami as my divine father. But in that moment, I said, Swami, give me a couple of more months. I need to grieve my physical father, but I will get there. I will get there. And looking back, even that conversation showed me how patient Swami's love was. That he's really pushing us to go to him, to think of him in a ways that's beyond material physical love. If I had not come back to Swami tenfold before this experience happened, I probably would have become a drug addict. I am not gonna lie. And Swami knew. He made sure I was ready. He made sure I was strong enough and trust him enough to surrender. He waited for my mom, my sister, everyone to surrender, and then he fully took my dad away. Those 6 weeks of time was for his soul to get to the point of surrender that he needed to. If that is not his soul finding his way home, I don't know what is. We think we're holding on to Swami, but Swami isn't holding on to us the entire time. It's only a matter of time until we realize it. One thing that kept pestering me, my mind after my mom explained me her vision of my dad saying, "This is just my body," is that if my dad is not his body, then who is he? And then which translated to, if I'm not my body, then who am I? And that's when my soul, like my journey of who am I began. And I know we all know we're Atma, we've been taught that. But the question is, what practices do we do to realize who we are? We all know we're Atma. We know that by knowledge, by books, by Swami telling us. But what can we do to realize that was my question. And one day, when I was conversing with Swami, I asked him, I have no idea how I was able to do that ultimate form of surrender where I just gave my dad to you, and how can I practice that surrender, or any surrender, on a regular basis? And he gently taught me that the first form, to start by surrendering one thought at a time. Fight for that promotion at work, but leave the result to Swami. Fight for that friendship, but leave the result of friendship to Swami. Fight with your partner, fight with your family, whatever you need to do, but surrender to Swami for your paths to align. By surrendering one thought at a time, you will realize surrendering is actually easier than holding on. And I've carried that with me this whole time. And lastly, the other day I had this amazing revelation in the restroom, TMI, but Swami has no time and space. He just, when he wants to talk to you, he will talk to you. I was asking Swami, why is the invoking prayer so effective? You know, when we say, Swami, speak through me, see through me, love through me, like we do that every single day. Why is it so effective? And we've all seen the effects of that prayer. We've all been through that prayer, and we've seen the repercussions of that prayer. And I asked him, why is it so effective? He said to me, because when you're doing something and you call on to me, you slowly start to realize that you're not the one, you're not doing it alone, that Swami is with you. In hopes that with enough sadhana, one day you will realize that you're not the one doing it at all. That is the ultimate goal, but that's where you start. So understanding the reason why behind our practice will get us one step closer to realizing who we are. And that's what I've been doing this entire time. My whole childhood was about why. Why do we do this? Why do we do that? And it's always been about the why. why question, but it now makes sense to why I think the way I think. And Swami picked each and every single one of us that is here today to be in his fold, to help us realize who we are. We are the kitten, and we will be carried home one day to become one with him. Jai Sai Ram.